Good evening, mortals. Are you prepared for a night of tyranny and murder?
Okay, seriously, I can't see out of this fucking mask, and I wasn't really prepared for an intro, so fuck it. You know, I'm just gonna take this off. God damn it, it's like a fucking mausoleum in here. Greetings, you cocaine-sniffing marmosets. This is Dead Monkey of Mortified Productions, and Halloween is here once again. And what do you know? I'm doing a Halloween special this year. Why? Because I love you all. And that's not just the pumpkin beer talking either. So I've been thinking about the kind of Halloween special I wanted to do this year, whether it was like a game review or a movie review. So in between off and online obligations and writing scripts for other various projects that I have going on at the moment, I decided to just do both of them. And since I think it's obvious that the game review is not going to come out in time, I have to ask you all to bear with me because there will be a quote-unquote part 2. And in the meantime, if you haven't seen it, feel free to check out my top 10 scary video game monsters list that I made last spring. That is, if you're not too scared to do so.
Make more SpongeBob videos!
Shut up! Anyways, after a couple of nights of fucking around on Netflix, I came across a movie that I've been wanting to see for some time now. And what movie is it? Well, if you're not looking at the title of the video right now, the movie that I decided to review for this Halloween special is The Curse of Chucky. So sit back, grab some candy, and enjoy! Around the far-off year of 2008, there was a lot of on and off confirmation from multiple sources that a back-to-roots sequel to the 2004 black comedy The Seed of Chucky would hit theaters at some point. And after a solid 4 years of speculation, it was announced in 2012 that everyone's favorite knife-wielding porcelain ginger would return once again in the highly anticipated, and most originally titled sequel, The Curse of Chucky, directed and written by series creator Don Mancini. As a huge fan of the Child's Play franchise, you can imagine how excited I was when I first heard of this, until I discovered it was a direct-to-DVD film where it pretty much dissipated off of my radar faster than a North Korean test missile. I know, it seems a bit close-minded to be hesitant over a direct-to-DVD movie from a big blockbuster franchise, but if you look at Disney's track record throughout the millennium, I think you'll understand my lower expectations on the stigma alone. And while the previous film managed to do fairly well at the box office, its negative criticism was ultimately why the series was initially abandoned, and I guess it also explains the film being released direct to DVD instead, although I remained anal about it regardless. The thing is, when I see direct to DVD alongside the description of a movie, it usually tells me that the studios and distributors didn't have enough confidence in the film's quality to release it on the big screen, because they think it would underperform at the box office, and it would usually convince me to avoid it like the plague. And by seeing that the Child's Play franchise got this treatment, it left me highly skeptical by the time it came out in 2013, despite receiving rather mixed to positive reaction from fans and critics alike. So after the past few years of thinking the franchise is eternally doomed, I've decided to push my bias aside and give it a chance. Let's see how my inner cynic will hold out with this. So, without further ado, let us commence the review. The film begins as a man with a particularly large package arrives at the door of our protagonist Nika, played by Fiona Dorff, and her mother Sarah.
Wait a minute. Oh my god, I know you.
You do?
Yeah, it was City College. So is your mom home now, or what?
Yeah.
Too bad.
So you thought that delivering a large package to an unsuspecting paralyzed woman who you used to go to college with would get you a little potential on-duty hot coffee, huh? Not on mommy's watch, you're not. Anyways, Nika and Sarah exchange a little salty dialogue and proceed to open the package.
Hi, I'm Chucky. Wanna play?
Well, damn! Looks like Chucky finally lost his baby fat. So after concluding it to be some kind of a prank, Sarah throws it away and she's later found with a case of bitch got killed syndrome in the foyer as a supposed suicide. You see, this is exactly why you don't throw the father of the main protagonist in the garbage. Especially if it's Brad fucking Dourif. And after a minute of the camera spinning around Chucky long enough for the opening credits to roll and for the police to finally show up in the morning to remove the body, Nika is greeted by her older sister Barb, played by Danielle Besudi, and by the family priest, Father Frank, to provide emotional support. The rest of Barb's family, including her husband Ian, their daughter Alice, and their nanny Jill, later arrive on the scene. And after a bitter family reunion, and as soon as Nika tells Alice she has a surprise for her, they discover that the doll is mysteriously gone, and coincidentally, Alice's bladder becomes full, so Jill and Ian take her to the bathroom. So some ominous heart music starts playing, and the camera pans on a curtain that starts moving a little bit conspicuously. Gee whiz, I hope there isn't a jump scare.
Oh, what chapped lips you have.
What's your name?
Alice, open the door, honey! Alice, open the door right now!
He scared me half to death.
Well, that was a lot of build-up for nothing. I almost thought we were watching a modern horror film for a second. Meanwhile, downstairs, Barb reveals some grand plan to sell the house because their mother gave them both possession of the estate, and proposes to put Nika in a nursing home. It's almost like she was anticipating her mother's death or something. Like, I get there will always be at least one or two vultures during a family death, but she's already revealing these plans in presumably less than 48 hours after their mother's death? I think we know who the real villain is.
This isn't about me, this is about money.
Well, you know we've been struggling. Print media is dead. Ian's working at Starbucks. We're gonna have to send Alice to public school.
Someone went for the philosophy major in college? And public school? With all of those filthy peasants? Why, I never! So the rest of the family returns from their bathroom adventure, Alice gives Chucky a hug that makes his eyes widen with glee, and the family prepares for din-din. Nika insists the Reverend to stay for the evening meal, and she prepares said meal with the help of Alice and Chucky.
It's really good.
It's the oregano.
Pay the toll.
We're on a roll.
It's because she's crippled. Oh, Chucky, you cheeky, cheeky, cheeky little twat. You know, given the short amount of time you had to mix that shit in, it probably would have been much less obvious that one bowl out of the 6 has some kind of foreign substance on top of the cheese, but I guess you gotta do with what you got. So after the camera spins from the chandelier for way too fucking long,
Please excuse me for a second.
the family begins eating their meal as the rat poison Russian roulette commences. Now, since this is a modern horror film, why don't we play the point out the false suspense cliche game? Feel free to play along with me at home. Let's see. First up, we have the overly dramatic consumption halt to toast compliments to the chef.
Wait! Your daddy would like to make a toast.
Here's the vegetarian/vegan checking for meat.
Is there meat in this?
Now we have that worrisome oh my god with the accompanied pause while seeming like they're choking, then spontaneously praising the chef for the amazing food.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
What?
This is amazing.
Oh, and we can't forget the picky eater.
Tastes funny. Maybe we put too much oregano in.
And let's throw in some random 80s references to remind people where this movie came from.
You know, that doll, it looks really familiar somehow.
You're right up there with Smurfs, Cabbage Patch Kids.
Well, that's about all the time we have for tonight. Thank you all at home for playing. Don't forget to fuck off profusely, and good night. Oh yeah, that's right, I have a review to finish. Okay, you want to know something that really grosses me out? People chewing their food with their mouths open or loudly. It's a really strange phobia, but for some reason it drives me up a fucking wall. And what do we have here? Some wide-angle shots of people eating. I literally had to look away from this because to me, it's like the eye's equivalent to nails on a chalkboard. God, I haven't seen such grotesque close-ups of food eating since Bruce fucking Bogtrotter. So after a few minutes of pure tension, filthy Father Frank begins to feel ill. I can only imagine why. Hint, hint, he made yum-yums with some rat poisoning. And he excuses himself from the table and heads off. It then cuts to his car crashed on the side of the road, and since I probably can't show this on YouTube, he gets unintentionally decapitated while he's still breathing. What else can I say, but...
That's brutal.
Anyways, it then cuts to the family watching a home video of back when Sarah was preggers with Nika, when the father was still alive before he drowned a few weeks before Nika was born, and what I can only assume is Howard Stern in his earlier years creeping around random family barbecues. Actually, it's just a neighbor, but I wouldn't be surprised. Anyways, Alice comes around the corner and says that Chucky's gone, so Barb orders Jill to go look for him. Hey, you made a reference to it before. Might as well make a product placement on it. Really now? Are you seriously trying to recreate the same scene from earlier? What's it gonna be? An open window? Ha! Fucking called it. Oh, and is it gonna bust open after you close it? Haha! Called it again! Seriously, one of the things that drives me insane about some of these newer horror films is specifically the jump scares. Especially these kind of jump scares that are so damn predictable, lack any form of build-up, and don't add up to anything. Jump scares can easily be the cheapest method of attempting to scare an audience, and most of the time fail because they usually happen before any real tension can accumulate. It's pretty much the same principle as premature ejaculation. It conjures up some intense feelings and becomes so excited that it blows its fucking load too soon, leaving you to feel disappointed, slightly self-loathing, and convincing you to leave without giving it your cell phone number. And the more frequent the jump scare, the cheaper the thrill becomes. Anyways, Jill goes back downstairs to the kitchen to continue her search. Holy shit, where'd you come from?
I need a fucking search party. I have looked over every inch of this house and I can't find him anywhere.
Well, that came out of nowhere. Maybe I'm naive, but I really didn't see this coming. Did they think that the movie would be too boring not to include two hot lesbians randomly making out? Because this is giving me a slight stiffy and it's distracting me from the plot. Anyways, Nika rolls into the living room and discovers Chucky mysteriously sitting next to Ian.
You know, I haven't been spending enough time with her. It's like if I'm not working, I'm just so tired all the time.
Life is short.
Well, that's deep. I wonder what else he could say. I'll irrigate you in your sleep with a toilet plunger! Ha ha ha! Okay, moving on. So Nika volunteers to take Chucky back up to Alice, so she enters the elevator and ascends to the next floor. And surprise, surprise, the power to the elevator shorts out. Oh, and now Barb and Jill appear to be preparing for intercourse. I see what you're doing there. A little Eros and Thanatos, huh? Some good old-fashioned
sex and death
before shit goes down, huh? I see what you're doing.
Coming!
Aw, how inconvenient. A few minutes more and you could have made a Jill sandwich.
I'm sorry.
I'm going to assume that you haven't been taking care of Nika nearly as long as your mother has, considering she lived with her. So for you to act like she's all of a sudden some fucking nuisance to you is absolute bullshit. Oh, and I'm pretty sure it's frowned upon to commit adultery as a Christian, let alone with someone of the same sex, but that's a whole can of worms that I'm not gonna open up right now.
Hey, wanna play?
Hey, an Exorcist reference!
I'm disabled, Barb. I am not a child, and I'm perfectly capable of taking care of myself.
Auntie Nika, you're bleeding.
Oh my god.
Holy shit! Did that come from... Oh, damn! I actually didn't see that coming. Kinda think of it, I thought the elevator scene was actually pretty well executed, even though it was a tiny bit obvious that it was gonna happen, but it managed to give me a few chills. I gotta give my props. Anyway, so Barb takes Alice up to bed, and after Alice recites her nightly prayers, she begins asking some tough questions.
God bless Grandma and Mommy and Daddy and Jill, and especially Auntie Nika.
What about Chucky?
He says there is no God.
Who said that?
Chucky did. He said that life's a bitch and then you die bleeding like a stuck pig.
Weird. I can't put my finger on it, but I'm getting a slight sense of deja vu here.
He said Aunt Maggie was a real bitch and got what she deserved.
Nah, it must be my imagination.
Mommy, am I going to die?
Whoa, 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 whoa. You might want to stop her right there because she might start asking some other questions, like about the Tooth Fairy, or the Boogeyman, or Man-Bear-Pig, or God forbid the whereabouts of the Great Fucking Pumpkin. If she doesn't stop now, I don't think her fragile little mind can handle the truth. But anyway, she tells Barb that Chucky told her everything, and of course, Barb doesn't believe her. Blah, 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 we've seen this in the first movie, yada, yada, yada. So she tucks her to bed and heads back upstairs. And once Barb makes her exit, Alice goes under the covers with Chucky and they talk.
Chucky, I'm scared.
You fucking should be.
And I should be giddy as a fucking chipmunk for hearing him say that. But I'm not. You know how people have been saying that this film was back to roots and a return to form for the franchise? I genuinely gotta ask, how so? These little homages to the original film would have worked if this was a straight up remake, but they really don't seem to be adding anything new on their own. It's 40 minutes in currently, and there really hasn't been much of anything new. And it doesn't help that most of these characters don't really portray much of a personality, nor do any of them seem very invested in their surroundings, besides Nika and Barb, and even they seem somewhat distant. Yes, they've had a few moments, but considering they both lost their mother, you would think that they would be a little more on edge, especially because of their already established sibling rivalry. Now, if they really wanted to take some notes from the original film, I would have suggested they take note of the psychological elements that it had. What psychological elements, you ask? Well, let's take a look at the protagonist, Karen. Throughout the film, we saw her mental state gradually decline from the loss of her best friend, and the growing frustration towards her son, Andy, as he tried to convince her that Chucky was alive and was behind all of the mishaps. She constantly questioned her sanity, and you could tell that she was emotionally invested in her surroundings. You could tell how everything was psychologically affecting her, and I think to a certain extent, Karen and Andy's relationship sort of mirrored what grief from the death of someone close can really do to you, and how it can affect your relationships. Although there are films like The Babadook that specifically focus on that, I still see some minor elements of it in Child's Play. But the main problem I see with both Nika and Barb is how emotionally flat they seem. Maybe it might have worked better if Nika showed more suspicion of the doll being alive, and if she witnessed the doll actually doing things, she could have tried warning the other characters about it, and it probably would have had a similar atmosphere to the original. Not to mention the past 40 minutes have been really boring. And it really doesn't help that the other characters have the same personality as asbestos on toast. Anyway, so later on we have Nika trying to dig up some information on Chucky over the internet, only for her to discover multiple unsolved cases of homicide, all coincidentally relating to the doll, including an article detailing the events of the first movie. Meanwhile, Jill gets in her underwear and commences a semi-kinky web chat with Barb. Okay, you know what's fucked up about this whole thing? We have Barb doing this next to her husband, and Jill's in the same room as... Oh, wait a minute, what's that shuffling underneath the bed? Yeah, that's probably nothing. But anyways, we have Jill that's doing this in the same room as Alice, and you would think that... Wait a minute, what the hell is that behind her? I'm probably just seeing things. Sorry, I haven't got a lot of sleep within the past couple of weeks anyways, so you would think that Barb would be a little bit smarter. Wait a minute, isn't that a Punch and Judy show in the background? Huh, I wonder what she's pointing at. Oh my my god, don't look beside you! Don't look beside you! No! Don't do it! Oh god, 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 oh...
Women can't live with them, period.
Thank you, Jesus.
I have been waiting patiently for some kind of cheesy one-liner from the Chuckster, and it finally fucking came. And it's exactly the kind of one-liner that only Chucky would say. This is the kind of action I like in a Child's Play movie. And this scene right here only confirms that Chucky is officially back, and he gives and takes no shits. God, yes. Anyways, in the heat of the commotion, Ian awakes from his slumber, and because perfect timing, he starts revealing that he's known about Barb and Jill's affair since it started, and even managed to record the events via a nanny cam that he placed on Chucky. And he plans on using the evidence to attain custody of Alice. Okay, scratch that college degree joke I made earlier. If he really got a degree in psychology, then I'm pretty sure he wouldn't have flat out explained his evil plans right there and then. Because I'm pretty sure that they teach reverse psychology in Psychology 101.
You are not taking my daughter away from me, do you hear me? I am not going to let you destroy this family because of your sick, paranoid accusation.
So remember, kids, what do you do when you discover your significant other is a lying, cheating piece of shit? So as Barb walks out, she discovers Chucky at the end of the stairway to the attic, and just as she's about to investigate, Nika from downstairs tries to confront her about her research, and much to her expense, and out of pure coincidence, Barb assumes that Nika's known about the camera the whole time and has been in the whole thing.
I understand. You resent the fact that I actually have a life.
No, Barb, this isn't about anything.
But you know what, Nika? It isn't my fault. What happened to you isn't my fault. And it isn't my fault that you dropped out of school. And it isn't my fault that you chose to never leave this goddamn house. I mean, what the hell were you waiting for? A sign from God?
No, Barb, just put the fucking doll down!
Fuck you, Nika.
Holy shit, I think this is one of the first times we've seen any real emotional tension between these two. You know what's crazy? I was actually on the edge of my seat when I first saw this part, because I wasn't sure if she was gonna just toss Chucky from the balcony out of anger, or what she was gonna do. Now that would have been suspenseful, and the way that this whole thing was set up was a great subtle way of building tension, and it seems to mirror the animosity that the two have for each other. So hey, I think we finally established a connection. And to show just how ruthless she is, Nika busts out of her wheelchair and starts scooting up the stairs by her butt. Meanwhile, Barb investigates the attic in search for Alice, and out of morbid curiosity, she takes a look inside Chucky's pocket to see if the camera is still in there, only to discover a large kitchen knife, which she leaves right beside him. Damn it, why is it gotta make it so obvious? Chucky, I said this before, and I'll say it again. You need some fucking chapstick, buddy, cause that... what? No way! No way! What? He in the with the fuck? What? So this is a reboot? What?
Alice is mine. Now she knows. There is no God. You have your mother's eyes. And they were always too fucking close together!
You know what? This is exactly what I love about the Child's Play series. In all honesty, I've never found the original movies to be that scary. Maybe it's because I saw them when I was a teenager, but one of the main reasons why I love the original trilogy was because of moments like this. The over-the-top, cheesy B-movie aesthetic. Sure, it had a lot of suspenseful moments and held many elements from your traditional slasher film, and even arguably a few psychological ones in the first movie, but the series was never really that serious to begin with. I mean, the premise itself is absolutely ridiculous if you think about it. A serial killer transfers his soul into a doll via voodoo chants when he's on the brink of death and then continues to slaughter innocent people while simultaneously trying to find a new host while his little cotton-stuffed body becomes more human itself. Does that sound like a super serious premise? Even if the series started heading towards a more black comedy route, I've never viewed the series as being completely no-nonsense horror, which is probably one of the reasons why I became more skeptical when I heard that they wanted to make Chucky serious again. But that's the thing, Chucky was never really serious to begin with, and now it looks like this film is finally acknowledging it.
Barbie?
Ha! Well, aren't you a sight for sore eyes? Okay, that was terrible. So Chucky reveals himself to Nika, and Nika quickly slithers over to the closet in a somewhat comical way to whip out one of the 3 spare wheelchairs we've seen so far in this movie as Chucky descends from the stairs. I gotta make a note here about the movie's use of practical effects. I'm a huge sucker for practical effects, even if it's blatantly obvious. And for the most part, I really have to give my hat off to Don and his crew for their continued use of animatronics like this. Even if it's obvious when they switch out the doll version of Chucky for the animatronic one, and how obvious it is that they're using CGI as Chucky descends from the staircase, it's still pretty damn cool to see movies that don't rely so much on CGI nowadays. Anyways, Chucky chases Nika down the hallway where she discovers that Jill is dead and Alice is still missing. Also, just to point out one small detail, notice that Jill's left eye got fried while Barb's right eye popped out. That's fucking cool and I'm glad I caught it. Anyways, Nika wakes Ian up, warns him about Chucky, the bodies, and Alice's mysterious disappearance, to which Ian takes her downstairs into the garage and goes to scout for Alice. And guess who locks Nika in the garage and turns the car engine on, and possibly had the keys with him? Either that or Star Schmuck always leaves his keys in the car like the fucking dumbass he is. What the hell? He just swallowed the keys? God, this is turning into a Tom and Jerry cartoon. So Ian comes in to see Nika with the axe in her hand as she smashed the car window and assumes that she murdered the other people. Oh, so now she's starting to seem kinda crazy. As she tries to explain that she didn't do it, she starts having either a heart attack or heroin withdrawals, and she hands Ian a syringe of an unknown substance that will sustain her. Still convinced that she committed the murders, he shows clear hesitance to help save her life. She blanks out and awakens later to be interrogated briefly, where he gags her and starts going through the nanny cam footage.
Hey Barb, check this out. Radio Shack, $450. Oh, and by the way, if you're watching this, I put it on your MasterCard.
Weird. I thought you were both in debt, partially because you work at fucking Starbucks. You know, you probably could have bought a $50 webcam and it would have gotten the job done easily. No wonder she cheated on you.
Where are you, Alice?
Isn't it odd that he doesn't seem the slightest bit surprised that the doll's been moving around on its own, catching all of this footage? I'd be shitting myself if I were him.
You'll never find me in here, Chucky. This is the best game of hide and seek ever.
Just keep your fucking mouth shut.
Chucky, stop cursing.
You told Chucky to stop cursing. No wonder they axed you out of the story until the end. Sorry, slight spoiler alert. She hasn't really seen or heard from again till the end of the film. know, I said that I love how this film series gets so over the top with how they do some of their scenes and everything, but holy shit.
Say hi to the little woman for me.
Job at Starbucks, $15 an hour. High definition webcam, $400. Jaw hacked off with an axe, priceless.
My turn.
This is so batshit insane! It's all happening so fast, I don't know how to properly process it! Oh my god! Okay, this isn't the first time Chucky's head got swiped off. I'm pretty damn sure he had some kind of human left inside of him somehow. I mean, he swallowed the keys earlier. He clearly has a digestive system. How the fuck does that work? You'd think there'd be some kind of blood or something, but I digress. Anyway, so Nika looks for some Hello Kitty band-aids to heal up that little boo-boo of hers on her knee. Chucky makes a Halloween reference and pushes Nika down the hallway and over the balcony. After a creepy-looking shot of Chucky looking down and an obvious toddler in a Chucky costume walking downstairs with a knife, Chucky confronts a wounded Nika for a little exposition where he reveals via flashback that he was an old family friend of Nika's family before she was born, and that he was in love with her mother. Also,
She has her mother's eyes.
and that kill came in full fucking circle! Anyways, the flashback also reveals that Charles kidnapped her mother, forcefully wanting to start a family with her as she was cuffed in a dirty basement, and when he finds out that she somehow was able to alert the police, he stabs her in the stomach where Nika was at the time and manages to escape, where Sarah was taken to the hospital where she gave birth to her, which also explains why Nika is paralyzed, which also explains what happened right before the beginning of the first movie. So basically, Charles has been trying to exact his revenge on Nika's family the entire time while trying to attain a human host in the process. I gotta say, this really took me by surprise. Besides the wig and makeup on Brad Dourif being pretty convincing, this whole scene actually went perfectly with the lore of the series. I'm really impressed.
You know, you remind me a lot of Andy Barkley. He was a whiny little bitch just like you.
Did you kill him too?
More or less. I killed his childhood. And the truth is, I killed you 25 years ago, didn't I, Nika? You haven't been living. You can't call this living. You've just been on life support. Time to pull the fucking plug.
So you never actually killed Andy Barkley, did you?
What?
No, it's called completion anxiety. It's very common in males. You are a male, aren't you?
Ha! So he has a digestive system, but he has a detachable head and no penis. Wait, how the fuck was he able to jerk off in the last film?
25 years must be the slowest murder in history. I mean, what are you waiting for? A sign from God?
Let there be coincidences. So Nika scuttles into the elevator and gets her hand sliced up by the Chuckster.
You feel that, don't you?
Jeez, ow, ow, ow! It's so painful looking.
So she somehow gets the knife and Chucky comes in. They can't fight for a bit. Nika stabs him in the back. He stops moving for a bit. She yanks the knife out where it starts snowing in the elevator, I guess. Chucky springs back to life, and it cuts to a police officer showing up on the scene later on. The officer discovers Nika in the elevator with a bloody knife and Barb's corpse upstairs, leaving her to be framed for the murders. So exactly what happened between the end of the scene and when the cops showed up? Was there some kind of epic battle that they decided to cut out at the last minute? Did they make peace and become best friends or something? Anyways, it then cuts to a scene at the courthouse where she's sentenced to be admitted into an insane asylum.
Alive, you son of a bitch, you hear me? I'm still alive!
I'm still alive, and there's probably going to be a sequel because of it. Meanwhile, the same cop who came on the original crime scene realizes the doll is legendary and decides to take it with him.
Hey, it's me. Yeah, I'm on my way. And don't forget my money.
Whoa! Jennifer Tilly?
So, who's next?
So let me get this straight. Is she responsible for Chucky being mailed to Nika's house in the first place? God, there's still so many questions I have. Where the hell is Glenn/Glenda? How did she know which police car to hide in? How does she still remain sexy with that glorious voice after all these years? But anyway, so you guys ever wonder what happened to Alice? Well, apparently she was relocated to her grandmother's house during the aftermath, with no explanation of how she was found or where she really was hiding during the events of the movie. Honestly, she doesn't seem to have that much of a purpose besides to be the token child that communicates with the doll, but the problem is she doesn't become the primary focus, which pretty much renders her useless in the film to begin with. I probably didn't mention this earlier, but I think Alice and Nika could have had some kind of core connection with each other, considering they were the only characters that had any sense of awareness of the doll being alive. And it would have been interesting to see a bond between the two develop, but it just never happened. So in the end, Alice's character just feels like wasted potential. Speaking of the ending, Alice just comes home from school to discover an open package on the counter and no grandma in sight. And hey, it's Chucky!
Chucky, you found me!
I told you I would.
Chucky, Mommy and Daddy are dead. Auntie Nika killed them.
But I'm your friend to the end, Alice. And now, it's time to play.
Hide and seek?
Hide the soul. And guess what? You're it.
Why do I always have to be it?
Because you're somebody that no one would ever suspect.
And the movie ends with Chucky commencing the ritual of transferring his soul into Alice. Also because obvious sequel is obvious. Oh, and there's a jump scare. So that was The Curse of Chucky, and I think I can sum up the whole entire movie with one facial expression. But it'd probably make a lot more sense if I just talked about it instead. For a straight-to-DVD film, I was pleasantly surprised. I came into this film thinking it was going to follow the same route that a lot of modern horror films have recently been doing, with a focus on cheap jump scares and a lack of focus on character development, but fortunately, around 40 minutes in, things started kicking up a few notches and showing elements of what made the original movie so great. It's a shame that the first 40 minutes were so boring and tried to follow modern horror cliches, but the way that everything picks up later in the film makes it a worthwhile seeing, and I think just about any longtime fan can appreciate what it does. The one-liners are great, the gore is fascinating, the practical effects are wacky and over the top, the plot twist will smack you upside the head, it's just great. Not to mention, there is a sequel confirmed to be on the way, and I'm really curious how they're going to pick up some of the pieces that this movie left off. And if the sequel can be like the second half of this movie, then I think it would be perfect. But if you really want the best experience, I would definitely check out the first 3 movies, or at least the first 2. So that was my review of The Curse of Chucky. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and if you like what you heard and saw, then feel free to subscribe, like, comment, share, and do all that good stuff. Feel free to tell me what you think of the movie itself. Like, do you like it? Do you hate it? Did it meet up to your expectations, or did it completely bomb? Leave your words down in the comments below with the sentences and whatnot. So with that said, this is Dead Monkey of Mortified Productions signing out. Take it easy, happy Halloween, and stay spoopy.